Hare Krishna. Sing Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtottara Sudashri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtottara Sudashri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री राधा गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री मथुरा धाम की जय। श्री एक चक्र धाम की जय। श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for coming for Tuesday morning Bhagavatam class. I would like to wish everyone a very happy Janmashtami, the most auspicious day of the year. because it's birth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, not an incarnation, Himself. He's coming to this world to teach us and guide us and entertain us as well, in one way, we can say. For devotees, all the pastimes of Krishna are very entertaining and very enlivening. So we should take this opportunity. First of all, I would like to take the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas who are assembled watching today's auspicious day class, because I may not be as qualified to speak on such one of the most exalted topics, but still, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas and Prabhupada's blessings, hopefully I'll be able to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, as we know, today we have multiple classes. This morning class, and there's evening class on Krishna Katha as well, given by a great devotee. So, I would not go deep, because we will probably end up discussing the birth and advent, and so it'll be a shame not to discuss these highly elevated topics today. The more and more we discuss, it is great. So I would discuss that, but I wanted to focus on the theme of the mood of the devotee and the prayers that devotees should constantly offer. Because prayers are very crucial. The power of prayer. Prayer was the only thing that brought the Supreme Personality of Godhead to appear, right? In this take birth. Even Lord Chaitanya appeared because a devotee prayed sincerely for his arrival. So I thought I'll focus on this topic of prayer, the theme today. So this is our theme. And one of my favorite verses when we think about the prayer, one of my favorite chapters is teachings of Queen Kunti. Because we all know, because this was, I heard from Radhanath Swami Maharaj that this was one of Prabhupada's most favorite topic to discuss, the prayers of Queen Kunti. So one of the most famous prayers of Queen Kunti, and the purport by Prabhupada in this verse is also very beautiful. So I thought we'll just discuss and go through this quickly, and then we can talk a little about pastimes and discuss the advent and birth of Lord Krishna. So we'll just start with this, and we'll recite the verse and the translation, and then we'll go through the purport. So this is Canto 1, chapter number 8, Prayers by Queen Kunti, text number 21. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha
Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Please repeat word for word. Krishnaya the Supreme Lord Vasudevaya, unto the son of Vasudeva, Devaki Nandanaya, unto the son of Devaki, Cha, and Nanda Gopa, Nanda and the cowherd men, Kumaraya, unto their son, Govindaya, unto the personality of Godhead, who enlivens the cows and the senses. Namaha, respectful obeisances. Namaha, obeisances. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudeva, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda and the other cowherd men of Vrindavan, and the enlivener of the cows and the senses. Purport. The Lord, being thus unapproachable by any material assets, out of unbounded and causeless mercy descends on the earth, as He is, in order to show His special mercy upon His unalloyed devotees and to diminish the upsurges of the demoniac persons. Queen Kunti specifically adores the incarnation or descent of Lord Krishna above all other incarnations, because in this particular incarnation He is more approachable. In the Rama incarnation, He remained a king's son from very childhood. But in the incarnation of Krishna, although He was the son of a king, He had once left the shelter of His real father and mother, King Vasudeva and Queen Devaki, just after His appearance, and went to the lap of Yashoda Mai to play the part of an ordinary cowherd boy in the blessed Vrajabhumi, which is very sanctified because of His childhood pastimes. Therefore, Lord Krishna is more merciful than Lord Rama. He was undoubtedly very kind to Kunti's brother Vasudeva and the family. Had he not become the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, Queen Kunti could not claim him to be her nephew and thus address Krishna in parental affection. But Nanda and Yashoda are more fortunate because they could relish the Lord's childhood pastimes, which are more attractive than all other pastimes. There is no parallel to His childhood pastimes as exhibited at Vrajabhumi, which are replicas of His eternal affairs in the original Krishna Loka, described as the Chintamani Dham in the Brahma Samhita. Lord Shri Krishna descends Himself at Vrajabhumi with all His transcendental entourage and paraphernalia. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore confirmed that no one is as fortunate as the residents of Vrajabhumi, and specifically the cowherd girls who dedicate their everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. His pastimes with Nanda and Yashoda and His pastimes with the cowherd men, and especially with the cowherd boys and the cows, have caused Him to be known as Govinda. Lord Krishna as Govinda is more inclined to the Brahmanas and the cows, indicating thereby that human prosperity depends more on these two items, namely Brahmanical culture and cow protection. Lord Krishna is never satisfied when these are lacking. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we continue our discussion. As we know, this is one of the very beautiful verses compiled by, said by Queen Kunti, recited by Queen Kunti as in a very humble state of mind. Because what has happened in this pastime? What has happened? So Queen Kunti has been through a lot of suffering as a mother. Grandsons have died. Her sons have suffered in a great battle. They've just been victorious. But one of his main sons has also died. Karna has passed away. So she has been through a lot of pain and a lot of suffering in life, a lot of deaths she has seen in the family. So she has been through many other calamities as well. She has been through she's been put in a very dangerous situation. She's been burned. She's been she's been put in a cave, tortured by the vicious assembly of the Kurus. She has been put in a house and burned the house on fire. So she's been through many, many sufferings. So, and in that humble state, when Krishna is about to leave for Dwarka, she goes up to Krishna and offers her prayers, very beautiful prayers. And she prays to Krishna in this beautiful verse. She says, Krishnaya Vasudevaya, just names of Krishna. It's not any complicated prayers like we would see in Krishna book, right? We have this beautiful chapter of prayers of the personified Vedas. Very complex prayers to understand and conceive, So, but these are very simple. This is much more simpler prayer. Just compiles all the names of Krishna and glorify Krishna by offering our obeisances and respects. And then there's many other prayers that she's saying that may all these calamities come again and again, so that we can see you again and again. And when we see you again and again, we don't have to take repeated births and deaths. Then she also goes on saying that as the river Ganges forever flows to the sea, let my mind be constantly drawn unto you, Krishna, O Krishna. So these are very powerful prayers. As we know, the acharyas have explained that the prayers are very powerful. Because if you see, our whole tradition is arranged in a way that we are trained from the very beginning to take shelter of the prayers. We all know there is 9 different limbs of devotional service. There is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, and there are many others. And one of them is Vandanam. Right? So I was hearing from this class by Mandra Prabhu, and he was saying that, he was actually giving his own personal experience, saying that he learned from one of our senior sannyasis that, we can try all these other limbs, but it's like we can do Shravanam, remembering, how often do a day through we try to remember Krishna. Sometimes we get busy in our other activities and remembering, chanting, hearing, chanting we can do 16 rounds, but when we try to chant it's not very pure. Hearing, how much can we hear, there's only a limit. 40 minutes of Bhagavatam class sometimes become too long to stay focused in Kali Yuga. So, and then there's Pada Sevayam, is deity worship, only few people can do. Not everyone is qualified to do Pada Sevayam, and not everyone is qualified to do what? What's the next one? Archanam, because it's all deity worship, so only few people are qualified to do that. So, but there's only one limb. Like Sakyam, Dasyam, we cannot conceive of being on the same platform equal to the Lord as Sakyam, It's hard to even serve as the servant. What to speak of being on the equal platform with the Supreme Lord. So, but there's only one limb that requires no qualification. Anyone can do, anytime, throughout the day. You can constantly do. Is Vandanam, offering prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because prayers are very crucial. Prayers are very essential. We know that without the prayers, our heart cannot connect to Krishna. So if you want to take shelter, people often say that we need to surrender our life. Krishna himself demands us to surrender to Krishna. But how do we surrender? How do we surrender? Because when the heart is full of material contamination, how do we surrender to Krishna? Is by taking shelter of these beautiful prayers that have been passed on to us. All the great acharyas, any acharya, even Srimad Bhagavatam. You open Srimad Bhagavatam from the first chapter, from the first canto, down to the 10th canto, or 11th and 12th. It's all prayers, full of prayers by great devotees who have ever existed. Because prayers are the ornaments of a Vaishnava. It's great ornaments of a Vaishnava, because we don't have anything else that we can offer to Krishna. other than the prayers. Because Krishna is always satisfied. He's fully satisfied. There's nothing that we possess that can satisfy Krishna other than offering our respectful prayers unto the lotus feet of Krishna. We can take, so Krishna appears, as we know in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself appears to Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam to and dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Krishna himself appears to protect the devotees, annihilate the demons, and establish the principles of dharma, religion, millennium after millennium. But due to the mercy of Prabhupada, Krishna appears year after year over here in the festival of Janmashtami. So Krishna says, one who has understood my pastimes in the next verse. He said, the one who has understood my appearance and pastimes does not take birth again upon leaving the body. It's beautiful, beautiful verse. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatvata tatvadeyam punarjanma neti mameti so Arjuna. Very powerful verse. And right after that verse, there's another very powerful verse. Who remembers what's the next verse after that one? Anyone remember the next verse after that one? Yeah, Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. Man Maya Mam Upashritaha Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Puta Mad Bhavam Agataha. Being freed from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me. Many persons appear in the past, became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attain transcendental love of me. It's a very powerful verse, because it's telling us how to attain love of Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Krishna himself is saying that one is freed of attachment, fear and anger. And how can one be free of attachment, fear and anger? As I'm giving example of Kunti Maharani, she's at a state, she's seen the worst. She has been fearful, she's been angry, she's been all those feelings, but she's free of it now. All she's doing is taking shelter, full surrender to Krishna in a very beautiful way. So Queen Kunti, and even if we let's go from first canto, see how many prayers we can find given by great devotees. The first canto starts with Queen Kunti's prayers, beautiful chapter. In the next chapter, Bhishma Dev is offering prayers. So Bhishma Dev, who's great devotee of the Lord, is also offering prayers before leaving this material realm. And what comes with the second canto? Who's offering prayers in the second canto? Lord Brahma in Chadru Shloki. He's offering prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Brahma, who is the creator of this material realm, who is the highest of all living entities, he's offering prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's beautiful. So many prayers we see just in the first two cantos. So sometimes, giving my own example, speaking on my own example, when I was new, prayers were not something I was very attracted to, because when we read these prayers, sometimes it may feel like it's same things that have been said constantly, so I might just skip that part and go to the main essence, the main nectar, try to find that in the Gita. But over time, when we constantly read Bhagavatam and we constantly chant the prayers given to us by the acharyas, we are slowly becoming purified. And then we start to realize the importance of these prayers. These prayers. Then there is Dhruva Maharaj is offering prayers to Krishna. In the third canto? In the fourth canto, Dhruva is offering prayers. What's in the third canto? Prayers in the unborn child. Prayers of the unborn child in the womb. So much suffering inside the womb, and the child in the womb is offering prayers to Krishna. So it's beautiful. Prayers are everywhere. So we should center our life in such a way that we are constantly, maybe not orally, but constantly in the mind, mentally, or offering prayers to Krishna. I read this beautiful thing that when Vasudeva saw Krishna, when Krishna appeared, as soon as he appeared in the world, Vasudeva, his father, mentally offered 10,000 cows, distributed 10,000 cows in charity, mentally. Because he was in a prison. He couldn't physically offer the cows, but mentally he distributed cows. And Prabhupada says, if you do mental seva, manasik seva, is as good as doing it physically. But it should be done with the right consciousness. Not thinking that, oh, I'll just do the manasik seva, so I don't have to do it, so I can avoid doing something physical. That's not the essence here. The point is that if you're in a situation, like for example, we're in a situation where we cannot come to the temple. Many people from watching on Mayapur TV, they're not able to come to the temple, but they do get darshan by the use of technology. They get the darshan of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. And from there, they manasikally or mentally offer their obeisances and respects. So that's as good as coming in front of the Lord and offering obeisances. So this is a very interesting point that we should remember. So whatever situation we are in, we should constantly offer our prayers. If we can't do it orally, if we're not in front of the Lord to offer prayers, manasikally we think of the Lord and offer our prayers. So what happened with Dhruva Maharaj? He offered prayers, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, constantly chanting. And when Krishna appeared, then he offered his prayers. He wasn't even looking forward to become a devotee of Krishna. He was only after material benedictions. But since when Krishna appeared, his heart melted. And what happened? Because there's an interesting point that we can read in this pastime, that when Dhruva was young, he's a 5-year-old boy, right? So he doesn't know all the Shastra or the Vedas or the prayers in the Vedas, so he's not very qualified or learned, or he doesn't know the language. That's what Prabhupada writes in the translation, that he doesn't know the language to offer prayers to the Supreme Lord. So he didn't know what to say, how to offer prayers to the Supreme Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya was the mantra given by the spiritual master, Narad Muni, to bring Krishna's attention. So when Krishna appeared, he knew that in the heart, because Krishna is present in the heart of all living entities. From the heart, he knew that Dhruva was very, very surrendered. He's very humble. So what did Krishna do? Well, what did Lord Vishnu do? Lord Vishnu put his conch shell on top of his head. And by that, he was fully realized, had all the knowledge. And then he started his beautiful prayers, the session of prayers. So we should try and make some time and read these prayers, because they're very beautiful. Because prayers are available to us by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. When it was in Sanskrit, nobody can understand and read, because none of us here are Sanskrit scholars, but by the mercy of Prabhupada, these prayers are available in English. Even the Sanskrit we can speak in English, so by this beautiful way that has been given to us, word for word translation, we can understand the meaning of these prayers and try to recite them. They're available to us, but what's stopping us to recite these prayers every day? What's stopping us is our own sincerity to perform devotional service. That's what's lacking in our heart. So that's what we should focus on, when we try to recite these prayers. Try to humble our heart. Remember the prayers constantly. When we come in front of the Lord, that's what we should do, not just stand there and look Krishna. That's also good, you can do it. But we should have this feeling of affectionate and devotion towards Lord Krishna and offer him prayers, as much prayers as we can. So when I was new, I couldn't remember a lot of prayers, so I would just sing the Shikshastakam prayers, because that's given to us by the authority. Every morning we recite Shikshastakam prayers, beautiful prayers. But also then I slowly started reading about Queen Kunti prayers and Dhruva's prayers, and what comes after Dhruva's prayers. So that's the 4th canto. And then there's 6th canto, Ajamil is offering prayers. In the 6th canto, what did Ajamil say? Ajamil said, I am the most fallen. I am most sinful and most shameful. Most sinful? He said, I'm the most sinful and the most shameful, but because of the things that I've done. But there's one good quality in me. I chant the name of Narayan. Right? Very, very good quality. The best quality. So he's offering prayers in his own personal way to Krishna. So this is, and Prabhupada at places that he explained that it's good that we offer our own prayers, but one need to qualify to that place, to offer our own personal prayers. We can do that, but sometimes we may not realize what we are saying and could have multiple meanings. So it's best, the safe road for a neophyte devotee is to offer prayers given to us by the acharyas. Prabhupada, when he went to the West, when he arrived at USA, the United States, the first thing he offered is prayers. Right? The first thing he offered, as soon as he arrived, because he didn't know what to do. He didn't know how he's going to make devotees. What is he doing here? What did he say? He said, Krishna, I'm here. I don't know what I'm doing here, but just let me dance. Make me dance as you please. So every great Acharya is offering prayers. We know Narottam Das, we sing his beautiful Vaishnava songbook. He's constantly offering prayers in his songs. So this is the mood of a devotee. This is the mood of a Vaishnava, to constantly offer prayers. And then after a Jamil, Vritrasura comes offering his prayers. It's said in 6th canto, when the Vritrasura's chapter, there's Chatur Shloki of 6th canto. 4 great prayers, one of the topmost prayers offered by Vritrasura, that he is already done with family, material, everything, liberation. That's not what he wants anymore. All he wants to do is serve you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the association of your pious and enlightened devotees. That's what he's offering. Very beautiful prayer. I heard Radhanath Maharaj give a lecture on these prayers, and that was very beautifully described. It made me fall in love with these prayers of Vritrasura. Imagine that, because he's specifically saying, in no other prayer you will see, he's saying that I want to perform devotional service in the association of your pious and enlightened devotees. Because that's the whole system. That's the whole system of the Vedic philosophy. And after Vritrasura, there's prayers of the topmost, most exalted devotee, Prahlad, in the 7th canto, offering prayers to Nrsingadev, right? And those prayers are also considered the highest, the most elevated prayers, because no one else could pacify Lord Nrsingadev. Only Prahlad, little Prahlad, with his sincere prayers, was able to pacify Lord Nrsingadev. And then in the 8th canto we see, or hear, the prayers of Gajendra. Gajendra comes offering his prayers. Gajendra is one of the great elephants. He's such high elephant, he's like kingly elephant, you can say. King of all elephants. He's been bitten by a crocodile. Very dangerous situation to be in. And he's in place of what we can say, fear. If you get bitten by an elephant, very fearful situation to even think. But what is he doing? Now he's free of fear, because he can't do much. All he can do is take shelter of Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So then he offers his prayers to Vishnu. So these prayers are available. You start from the 1st and go right to the 9th canto. It's all available, these prayers. But what's stopping us to read them? What is it that's coming in the way? We should recite these prayers every day. Try to read them and recite them and understand them. But because of our sincere desire, sometimes we lack the motivation to read. We said there's prayers, it's all the same, what's the point? I used to think like that too. What's all the same? But when I heard these prayers spoken by the great pure devotees, it makes more sense. It tells us every prayer is different. And the reason for, if you go through these prayers, there's long, big purports by Prabhupada explaining why these prayers are spoken, and try to understand the philosophy behind these prayers. When we say Krishna is the supreme most personality, he's the super soul, all these prayers are there. So Prabhupada explains the more detail. How is Krishna the super soul? How is he the topmost among all devas? So it's great. These great prayers are available. So then we come to the 10th canto. So now we'll discuss a little about Krishna's appearance as well, because we are up to the 10th canto. So how does the 10th canto start? Does anyone know? How does the 10th canto start? Yeah, he's offering prayers to Sukadeva Goswami. He's saying, because Parikshit is now excited, because Sukadeva just at the end of 9th canto explained the descendants of the whole dynasty of the Yadus. And now as soon as he remembered Yadus, he's like, that's it, Krishna's coming now. So he gets very excited. If you see the first 20 verses or 10 verses of the 10th canto, it shows the excitement of Parikshit, Maharaj Parikshit. So what does he do? The first thing he does is, I want to hear about Krishna. Tell me about the appearance of Krishna, how he appeared as the son of Devaki, as the son of, and how did he go from appearing as a Devaki's son and going to becoming Yashoda's son? How did he kill Kamsa? And all these questions. He's very inquisitive. He's very, 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 very inquisitive. Trying to figure out, trying to ask this topic of great Krishna Prem. And when Sukadeva Goswami hears this excitement, sees this excitement in Parikshit Maharaj, he says, that's it. I can see your enthusiasm. I can see your excitement, So, and Shukadev Goswami then says this beautiful verse that because you have inquired about the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it's my privilege, it's my honor to speak and glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because, he says, it's not just you who's going to be purified, it's going to be me as well. Right? Shukadev Goswami said there's three people who gets liberated or gets elevated and gets Krishna Prem when they hear the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One is the listener, the one that's listening. The second one is the speaker who's speaking Krishna Katha, and the one around who are subconsciously or consciously listening to Krishna Katha. They also get purified. So this is a very interesting point. And when these prayers are started, when Krishna tells, then after this, seeing the excitement, then he just changes everything and just goes dives straight into talking the glories of Krishna. Then the chapter comes, Advent of Lord Krishna, how, Vasudeva, father of Krishna, was married to Devaki. Kamsa is a he's a great brother to Devaki at that time. He wants to marry his Devaki to a friend, Vasudeva. So it's a very beautiful situation, and there's great celebration, there's great auspiciousness around, because two of the great people, devotees, are getting married, and Kamsa is very happy, and then Kamsa drives personally the chariot of Vasudeva and Devaki. And there's another beautiful, interesting point mentioned just after that. When Shukadev Goswami is explaining, at this point, there's a beautiful verse there mentioned. I'll read out the verse. It's a very nice verse around at this time. Let's see where to go. There we go. So, Shukadev Goswami said, O son of Brigu, after sorry, not this one, this is a different verse. Anyway, nothing I can find in time. But what happened is, Shukadev Goswami is so excited because Krishna is about to appear that he addresses Maharaj Parikshit as Tata, O beloved son. And Acharyas explained the reason why Maharaj Parikshit is being addressed by Shukadev Goswami as O beloved son. Because as soon as he started speaking Shukadev Goswami, he realizes that Krishna is about to appear. And automatically he goes into the parental affection, the rasa of a parental love, for Krishna. So he's in so much excitement in that parental bhava that he addresses Maharaj Parikshit as, O beloved son. It's amazing, isn't it? So it's very easy. You can actually read this more detail in the notes after the first chapter of the 10th canto. It's mentioned there that Prabhupada is saying that the Acharyas have explained the parental bhav that Shukadev Goswami has established because he's in that mindset, right? Because Krishna is about to appear. So he automatically jumps in that bhav and addresses Maharaj Parikshit as, O beloved son, the best of the son. It's a very beautiful understanding. So it's a very interesting point that I noted when I was preparing or reading the 10th canto. So after addressing Krishna very beautifully as, after addressing Maharaj Parikshit as beloved son, then he goes on explaining that how the prophecy came about Krishna's appearance and the 8th child of Devaki would destroy you, Kamsa. So what happened after that? Kamsa was just, because, when you hear that you're going to die, not everyone acts how Maharaj Parikshit acts. Some people may act in a way that Kamsa acted. Because we don't want to die. If someone gets told they're about to die, the first thing they will do is try to figure out and solve and try to extend their lifespan. So as soon as Kamsa found out that he's the 8th child of Devaki is going to kill, he was about to destroy Devaki, kill Devaki. But then Vasudeva because he's a smart Brahmana. He's a smart king. Vasudeva said, I cannot fight Kamsa because he's very powerful. But he uses intelligence, He's using his intelligence in telling Kamsa that, hey, look, if you kill your own sister, everyone is going to defame you very much. You'll be very embarrassed. There'll be a very horrible situation for you to be in, because it's totally against the Shastras. The worst thing you can do is kill your own sister. That's not very good for a great king. And then sort of Kamsa understood, the light bulb kind of opens up in his head, like, yeah, well, you're right, I shouldn't kill. But then you give me your word that you bring, and then Vasudeva before actually, Kamsa can say anything else. Vasudeva himself suggested that I'll bring you all my children, I'll give you my children, and you do whatever you feel necessary, you kill them all, no problem, but leave Devaki alone. So it's a very, very smart thing to do at that time, if you're in the shoes of Vasudeva. So Kamsa said, okay, that makes sense. You bring all your kids, I'll kill them. But when the first child was born, and Vasudeva actually brings the first child, the firstborn, to Kamsa as promised. Because at that time, the word meant everything, right? If someone has given you the word, that's it. You don't have anything else to think. They have to keep the word. So Vasudeva brought his firstborn to Kamsa, and Kamsa was heart melted, Just seeing that firstborn, Kamsa was in that bhav of, he just melted, because as Devaki is still his sister, and Vasudeva is his very dear friend. So his heart melted, and he told Vasudeva, you know what? I don't have any danger from your first 7. You keep them. You keep this child. It's only the 8th one that's kind of, a reason to worry for me. So I'll just destroy that 8th one. No problem. You keep the rest. Why don't you keep the rest? But Vasudeva was smart. He said he cannot rely on Kamsa's mind, so he went away, with the child. But he wasn't satisfied, because he knew Kamsa might change his mind, because that's the nature of a demon, constantly changing their minds, and not very guarantee that they bring on the table. So what happened after that? few days passed, or a few months passed, and Narad Muni appeared in the area. Narad Muni came and went up to Kamsa and told Kamsa, hey, look, that's the best thing Narad Muni did. It's like, if you read 10th canto and you see these pastimes of Narad Muni, trying to, sometimes just bring the fight to a greater, make him commit more sin so that Krishna can appear faster, Krishna can appear sooner. So he told Kamsa that, you know what? Krishna is not coming alone. I just heard this in the meeting of the demigods. I was there. And they were discussing that some of the demigods have already appeared. So you might be in danger, Kamsa. You might want to take some action about that as well. Because anyone can kill you right now, because they all started appearing. And then Kamsa's like, it hit him, Oh no, and I can be killed any time now. So what did he do? He put Devaki and all these 7 children the first one can also kill me, the firstborn child, because he's either, if he's not Vishnu, then he's associate of Vishnu, who's powered enough to kill me. So he put Devaki and Vasudeva both in prison, in a cell. And what does he do? Not just that, he pulls everyone out. The father, his father, what was his name? Ugrasena. He dethrones him, puts him in jail as well, for no reason, and becomes the king. He said, I'll take everything in my control. So everything is in my control. I can dominate, I can rule as I want. And at that time, there's another interesting point. At that point, it's in the same notes section. Or actually, Shukadeva Goswami himself said in one of the translations, that one of the verses, that many Yadus at that point fled. As soon as they saw Kamsa was becoming the in charge, most of the Yadus fled. They just ran to some other, they went to Kurus, they went to other assemblies, the other houses. What's that? Some other, many different houses or assemblies, or they joined, because they didn't want to be around when Kamsa is the ruler. But many devotees, there were some devotees who stayed back with Kamsa, like Akrura, for example, pure devotee of Krishna. He stayed back. He took a lot of suffering. He said, all this suffering is worth it, because I get to see Krishna when he appears. So this is the love of a pure devotee. You know, he's happy to take on suffering, many suffering, from a great demon who's in charge, but he still stick around. So one day I can get to see Krishna when he appears. And I'm right there when Krishna is appeared. You know, so this is most auspicious. So this is a very interesting point as well, that we should remember. The mood of a devotee. Because a devotee is not caring about any suffering that comes along the path. All he cares about is do service, perform service for Krishna in a very beautiful way. And not care about his own problems or his own sufferings. You know, sometimes when we go through these problems, you know, these little dramas that come in our daily life or daily affairs, it takes us away from Krishna most of the time. You know, because our mind, mentally we're gone. We're just totally focused on these distractions, you know, rather than focusing or taking an opportunity for Krishna. There's nothing for us that's helping us grow spiritually when we are distracted. So that's what these great pastimes of, for example, Akrura is showing us. You know, Akrura could have left as well, but he stayed because he knew I'll get to see Krishna one day, which is my Supreme Personality of Godhead, my worshipful deity. So I get to see him fully. So it's good, it's great. So he stayed, took on all the pain and suffering from Kamsa, but still stuck around. So this is another interesting point that we can remember from these pastimes. So what happened after that? Then Kamsa, you know, then children were being born and killed, brought to Kamsa. Kamsa killed them. The seventh child was transferred because it was Ananta himself. Balaram himself appeared as the elder brother of Krishna, and he was transferred to the womb of Rohini. So, and then appeared Supreme Personality of Godhead. You know, well, before actually a female appeared, who was also transferred from the womb. So, but then Krishna appeared in the womb, and what happened when Krishna appeared? As I said, Vasudeva was very thrilled because Krishna appeared in the mind of Vasudeva. And the mind is actually not here. You know, oftentimes it's just like a human reflex, right? When we think of mind, we think it's over here. It's not here. Mind is the subtle body. It's situated in the heart, the core of the heart. You know, over there. So Krishna appeared in the core of the heart of Vasudeva. And from there it is described that Krishna appeared with all his, you know, all opulences. All the 6 opulences Krishna appeared. And when he appeared, it was very bright as the sun. You know, and then Vasudeva transferred Krishna heart to Devaki. You know, and when Devaki gave birth to Krishna, both of them saw the 4-handed form. And the first thing when Krishna appeared, they offered obeisances. They offered prayers to Krishna, both of them. And you know, Devaki is offering prayers to Krishna, and then she puts a beautiful request because she was, you know, a bit scared when seeing the 4-handed form of a baby. She said, you know, people may not accept Krishna, you know, properly. They won't treat him because he's in that parental affection, right? For a parent, it's always to think about the kid, you know, in such a way. So people may not accept Krishna in a very good way. So she requests Krishna to please go back in your like 2-handed form, you know, in the normal child form. So she feels a bit more better. I remember I wrote it down that when Devaki prayed this, she said that so Devaki did that, right? So, and then they both offered prayers, and then Krishna appeared, and then Krishna was transferred across the Yamuna river in the house of Mother Yashoda, because Krishna has already promised. You know, because in the previous life, Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj were also promised that Krishna will appear in their house as a son. So Krishna had to fulfill all promises. See, that's how Krishna arranges. And Prabhupada mentions in around some purports around that, Prabhupada mentions that Krishna's plan is perfect. You know, we think our plan is perfect, but Krishna's plan is perfect. You know, because we constantly change our plan. Or our plans are automatically being changed by the influence of time and the material energy. But Krishna's plan is transcendental, totally spiritual. There's nothing Krishna's plan. So sometimes we may not see, you know, things happen to us in life that brings us problems. And we may think, oh, well, This is not going as per the plan, but we should be patient. If we are performing devotional service, if we are performing spiritual activity, we should be patient, and then our plan will be successful. So I'll just end with a very beautiful verse and a beautiful point. It's almost time. So, as I was saying in the beginning, prayers are very powerful and prayers are very crucial. There is a famous verse, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi, Na Bhavid Graham Indriya. Because Krishna cannot be perceived or Krishna cannot be seen through the material vision. He can only be seen through the tongue. He can only be perceived through the tongue. And how do we offer prayers? Through the tongue. All these great people are offering prayers through the tongue. And then we know that when Krishna was in the womb, then all the demigods assembled and they also offered prayers. Then Kaliya's wives offered prayers, and there was another chapter of course, then there's personified Vedas offering prayers. So there's a lot of prayers, full of prayers. So if we start from one and go right till the end, it's full of prayers. So we should remember that, offer our prayers nicely to the Supreme Personality of Godhead with true love and devotion in the heart. Because if you're not offering it sincerely, those prayers just become mundane. There's still benefit out of it, but if you're doing it sincerely, you're actually getting much more benefit. It's because it's the fastest way to become Krishna conscious, by offering prayers to Krishna and to the devotees, pure devotees of the Lord. So I'll stop here. If there's anyone who would like to add any points, questions, corrections. Yes, Prabhu.
But anyway, even they doesn't kill the children, still it will take the same time, right?
Yeah.
For the first son children, it takes 7 years. So what is the reason behind that? Even if they are not killed, Krishna is not appear great teacher. So why that as a same person why he has to come?
Yes, so Prabhupada mentions around that time, we'll have to stop here Prabhupada's time. So, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tagore